Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from Burger King, Buffalo Wild Wings, KFC, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a burger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/@RamsUpPodcast. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined often by my football guru, Ian, along with a bunch of other friends of the show on occasion. Let's get to it. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Mark from Rams Up here. Got Scott Richmond back to join us. What's going on, Scott?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me. Hello, my fellow Ram fans.
Yeah, so Scott and I were talking. There's been some discussions everywhere, really, about the Rams. The possibility the Rams could take a running back in this year's draft. And if they do draft a running back, what type of running back they might add. And Scott is in the change of pace camp. Like to see a change of pace running back. Is that a correct statement, Scott? That's what you're looking at, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so we'll go through a bunch of running backs. We have some comparisons we're going to do, and we'll talk about each one of them that are on our radar. And at the end, we'll do a mock draft with that in mind. Let's grab one of these running backs. What isn't necessarily going to be an early pick. We'll see how it goes. But every time the Rams are on the clock, we will look at the running back situation and try to. We're just going to make sure all of these guys don't slip through our fingers. We're going to draft one of these guys that Scott likes. And we're also going to look at the quarterback situation, namely Jackson Dart. We'll assess where he's getting drafted and if the Rams might have a shot at him and if they should select him. So, Scott, you put together a bunch of information on these running backs. And the first thing we'll do is we'll share a little chart here. And for those of you listening audio only on the podcast, what we have here is, how many? 7 running backs. Dylan Sampson, Baishul Tootin, R.J. Harvey, Trevor, say his last name for me. There you go.
Trevor Etienne. His older brother is already in the league. Yes.
Right. That's one name I'm pretty good at butchering. Jaden Blue, Brashard Smith is the guy we've talked about quite a bit. And then we added, or I should say Scott added just recently to his list, Jarquez Hunter, the running back out of Auburn, because the word on the street is the Rams met with him. And I talked about it a little bit on our last podcast, I think. And he's a guy that's known for his work ethic, his leadership. and just a guy coaches love. And, those are the types of guys the Rams draft. So it kind of made sense.
Mhm.
So is this chart here, Scott? Now you're identifying each one of these guys. Will you consider all of them a change of pace running back? I know the speed column, they're all fairly fast. The slowest one is Hunter at 4.44 in the 40. The
Yeah.
fastest guy is 210, who blew it up in the combine, 4.32 in the
Mhm.
40. Anything you want to speak to specifically on this chart? Anything listeners and viewers should be aware of?
This chart came about as to, going back to what Coach McVay alluded to. I don't know, was it about 6-8 weeks ago, where he said, after looking at what the Buccaneers did with Bucky Irving last season, having a little bit more versatility in their offense, it kind of made a lot of us Ram fans think that I think they're going to try to upgrade the speed and the explosiveness with their running backs. And maybe that's just going to be someone who comes in and is more of maybe just a third down back, maybe just be used in certain down and distance situations that offers more explosion. And with that said, I tried to come up with a list of players that are kind of fit that description of being explosive. They have a little bit more explosion than Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. Also being able to being proficient at catching the ball out of the backfield. There are two things we're probably not grading them for would be pass protection and short yardage. Kyron Williams would still be that lead person to take on that role. So this is probably just going to be, as this player comes in, they're just going to be, specific situation, third down possibly, or a second down and long, where you can use them as a receiver and or running back, and hopefully to get an explosive play out of.
Yeah, and these are guys that'll have certain plays in the playbook for them, I'm sure. And okay, it's a pretty good list. I'll have a question or two about some of these guys as we move through. Now, your second chart that you pulled was a yards after contact chart. And again, for those of you on the podcast, what we're showing here is on the x-axis, yards after contact. And Ashton Gianti is the leader far and away with close to 5 yards, 5 yards per carry. And then on the y-axis, we have the total yards after contact. So you want to be high on the y-axis and as far to the right on the x-axis as possible. Pretty obvious. And so we have all these guys scatter plotted across this chart. What's your takeaway from this chart that you want to share with the listeners and viewers?
I think our new player that joined the list this week, after we found out that the Rams have had a meeting with Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, is that he pops out pretty high on this list. Going up up towards the upper right-hand corner. He's he's up there with Travion Henderson as one of the top backs available in the draft, along with Omarion Hampton. Also, R.J. Harvey is pretty high on that list, so you can see that those two are can be pretty explosive. Bashal Tutin, to an extent, he's a little bit further down on the up and down axis, but it shows quite a difference between some of the players. Like, I don't have anything against Woody Marks, but you can see he's pretty much down near the bottom, and why. Right. We probably didn't include him on this list because he just doesn't seem to have the same level of explosiveness than some of these other players.
Yeah, data doesn't lie generally, right? And this is telling you a lot of things about these guys. And I encourage everybody to explore this chart, kind of give you a good idea of who has gotten yards after the carry and done it on a consistent basis. And We'll talk about Gianti's stats and how his level of competition might, maybe we need to adjust that number a little bit based on that. We'll see how you feel about that when we get to, well, let's talk about that right now, because we're not talking about Gianti specifically in this discussion, but, his, how much weight should we put on the lack of the level of competition in his conference is obviously quite a bit lower than what you're going to see in the SEC, but it's still, he's so far separated from everybody else. Still must count for something, right?
Yeah. I mean, he, as far as the players that played in lower conferences, Ashton Genty still performed very well when, the 2 or 3 games where they played against higher competition. So with that being said, I really don't discount their traits or their production because of that.
Yeah, I know there was someone in the discussion that you forwarded to me about him specifically, chart, and someone made the kind of a low blow comment about him that he's playing against future ice cream salesmen or something to that effect, and I think that's a little unfair. I watched him play, and he's pretty impressive, and I don't know if he's worthy of a top 10, 15 pick. That's probably where he's going to go, but I think he's going to be a pretty successful running back in the NFL. So the next chart we have, similar scatter type chart, XY axis here, and this is eluded tackles. And on the X axis, the number of eluded tackle, the eluded tackle rate. And then on the left, the total tackles eluded. And once again, there is Ashton there in the far right all by himself.
Yeah.
And R.J. Harvey stacks up pretty good, as does Jarquez Hunter.
Yes.
So is there any others? Go ahead.
No, I was trying to remember where Jaden Blue from Texas, he does well on one of them, but not so much on the other.
Yeah, and Woody Marks is again down near the bottom on this.
Marion Hampton, one of the top backs, he's kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows how Jarquez Hunter and R.J. Harvey are, pretty explosive and been able to make people miss in the second level.
Yeah. Yeah. So
first line.
Yeah. For those of you listening, the eluded tackle rate, it's Ashton leading the pack, and then right behind him is Tootin, Jarquez Hunter, R.J. Harvey, and Cam Scadaboo, who has he clocked in the 40. I guess it wasn't impressive, but it's about where they expected him at his private workout the other day. So and Jaden Blue, pretty in the middle of the pack as far as eluded tackle rate, but not a lot of them sum total. So we'll talk. And Brashard Smith, similar stats as Blue. Okay, let's move on to, let's talk about each one of these guys. Who do you want to talk about first?
As far as the players down the list, since we're talking about explosive, let's talk about that. Explosive plays. Number one on the list would have to be R.J. Harvey from UCF. PFF.com lists. They have a stat for plays that go from a designed run that goes for 15 or more yards per play. Harvey leads the list. He had 32 runs this past season of 15 yards or more. The second on this list would be Jarquez Hunter. He had 23 runs of 15, designed runs of 15 yards or more from scrimmage. The number 3 would be Bushell Tootin from Virginia Tech. He had 21 runs.
Yeah, and he's the guy that almost won the Triple Crown, they say, at the Combine. Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Yes. So I'd have to say, if you're judging a player for explosive plays, R.J. Harvey would have to be number 1. on
Okay.
there. And that kind of goes in, it's kind of reflected in those two graphs we just showed. He was kind
Okay.
of probably near the top of everybody on this list of 7. The second trait we might be able to look at as well, if they're in there on third down, they're going to probably be receiving the ball as maybe a receiver. And going over some history of a couple of these, Brashard Smith, coming out of SMU, he's a transfer. He started his career as a receiver at University of Miami as a wide receiver, and I guess the wide receiver room was a little too busy, too much competition, so he transferred to SMU. They got him to switch to running back, and so he has the best hands and route running available of any of the backs. Second to him would probably be Jadon Blue out of Texas. He runs a wicked wheel route out of the backfield. He had, if you pull up his YouTube highlights, you can find there's probably 5 plays where he scores TDs off of a wheel route out of the backfield from anywhere from the 25 to 40 yard line. And it's impressive, his route running on some of those wheel routes. Now all these players are pretty much competent as pass catchers. They write, let's say if you were to look them up each on draftbuzz.com, their rating as far as on a scale of 1 to 100 is anywhere from 65 up to about 78. So they're all pretty proficient as far as being competent pass catchers and having decent hands. It's just a couple of them really separate. I think they would be Brashard having the experience as a wide receiver, and Jadon Blue with his production as far as catching touchdowns out of the backfield. I don't know if there's any others that would be. Again, the others are competent pass catchers. They just don't have the production that the other two do.
Gotcha. So if it were you, who are you leaning towards? Who would you like to see the Rams add?
That's a good question because I guess it depends on what round they're going to be able to get them in. If they're going to pick them in the third round, I'm kind of considering, what's going to happen with Kyren Williams, at the end of this next season. Are the Rams going to extend him? Are they not going to extend him? Are they going to let him test the market? If they don't retain Kyren Williams, well, then somebody they draft this year may have to step in behind Blake Corum and handle more duties on first and second down. They're going to have to pass protect more. Okay, then which one of these players could possibly do that? And so with that, let me cover that first. I would have to say that Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee would probably be my first choice, along with Trevor Etienne from Georgia. They both have the experience of being the lead back. They've had pass protection responsibilities. I believe they could carry the load and be good pass protectors. Bashal Tutin, to a lesser extent, I believe could do it. I just think he's just a little bit more tight in the hips. I think he's a great one-cut runner that could possibly be more productive in maybe the 49ers wide zone system where the Rams don't run that anymore. They're running between the tackles, and he could. Not saying he couldn't be productive. Probably one of the other runners, R.J. Harvey, could possibly be more productive, but R.J. Harvey would probably fall near the bottom of the list as far as this consideration because he just doesn't have the pass protection skills that the others do. So with that said, now if we talk about if I'm just going to want to draft the most explosive player and just leave him as the scat back third down specialist, I might have to go R.J. Harvey. his number of explosive plays and production, I would have to go with him. He'd be top of the list for me.
It'd probably be between, I'm guessing, Harvey and Tootin, right?
Yeah. Tootin would come in at close second. I'd be happy with either.
Yeah. So the one guy we haven't talked that much about is Hunter. Now, the interesting thing about Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong, I read his bio before we talked, before you sent me your list, and I know you added him because the Rams met with him. And I guess he has the speed, which would allow you to characterize him as a change of pace back. But he's a little bit more than that as well, right? He seems like he's the guy that could get the tough yards. He's known for having an incredible lower body strength, being able to break tackles, get extra yards, run between the tackles and get tough yards. Is that a true characterization of him?
Yeah, he would probably be on that list of players that, if you weren't, if you were a little uncertain of Kyron Williams coming back, that if you bring him in his rookie year, he can be that specialist runner, gadget guy to hopefully, break a big play. But maybe heading into his second year, if Kyron Williams is in here, he could be somebody that could step in and carry a heavier load.
Yeah, and what I loved, and what I loved about him is surprise, surprise. He's got he's high character, great work ethic, and he's known for those two things, as well as that lower body strength. I mean, every profile you read on him, it's about how incredible he is. Incredible legs, thighs that can just steam through tackles, get those extra yards. So interesting. Prospect that wasn't on my radar. I'd be quite honest, I didn't even know who he was when I heard the Rams had met with him. But we're all getting a little bit smarter on these guys as we go. So, hey, let's do a mock draft. But before we do that, let's look at this list one more time. So in this fifth column, whatever it is, we have the overall rank of these players. And if we could translate into the round they might get drafted, Sampson, you're looking at third round, maybe the third or fourth round. Same with Tootin, RJ Harvey, third or fourth. Same thing with Trevor, Jaden Blue, on down the list. Now, if this is true on Hunter, they are saying they expect him to be drafted. So probably in the sixth round, somewhere in there. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go through this. And the draft position on running backs is always a little bit hard to guess because as the years have gone by, they become less and less important. But then guys like Jamar Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, I think have teams rethinking that maybe the age of the running back is returning.
Correct. And if I could add, our ranking basically comes from NFL mock draft database. It's a consensus. They pretty much took a consensus of where these players are ranked throughout numerous mock draft sites and come up with a consensus rating. I thought this would be a fair number to use.
And the reason we have Hunter at the bottom there on the ranking is because we added him at the last minute, or not the last minute, but towards the end there. Okay, so let me get this mock draft set up. Anything else you want to say about these running backs before we get going? You can speak as I'm getting this set up if you'd like.
No, it's just when you talked about Jahmyr Gibbs, that brings up a good point, and is that's something that what he added to the Lions offense really made them dynamic. And that's what I'm hoping the Rams add, is something that similar to a Jamar Gibbs, that, if you throw him a shallow crossing pass, that he can, take it to the house. He might be able to take what would be a 10 or 12 yard run by Kyron Williams, and except turn that into a 40-yard touchdown run. So yeah, I'm hoping for one of those players that has, sub 4.4 speed. And there's one other there's one other attribute that really created this list of 7. And when you talk about the explosiveness, it's the you talk about a 40 time, and that's built up speed, but it's the 10-yard split that really tells you what they can do in that first 5 to 10 yards of getting the ball. And there can be a difference between those players. With a 10-yard split, Trevor Etienne, he runs a 4.4 240, but he has a 1.51 10-yard split. That's near the top. One of the other players on this list, RJ Harvey's a 1.57. Michelle Tootin, of course, is probably one of the best with a 1.49, and all the others seem to be in the high 1.5s. So that's one of the traits that kind of elevates them. That within that first 10 yards, they're reaching top speed very quickly.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that as we get this mock draft going. RJ Harvey, I'm going to let you make the selection, whatever round we are going to pick a running back. We'll try to, and we'll, every pick we'll see which running backs are still on the board, even if we've already made our running back pick. And we'll also keep an eye just for educational purposes. We'll see where Jackson Dart goes and see if we have a shot for him at 26. So I have this set up, the NFL mock draft database, 7 rounds, and we may make a trade early in this. We're not going to proactively seek a trade, but we'll see what gets thrown our way. And I've seen some other mock drafts. I think you were the first one to pull this off, Scott, or to figure this out, a trade with Kansas City, dropping back to the Kansas City's pick and adding a 5th rounder, I think it was, or 4th rounder. I've seen that.
I think it's their 3rd round at 95.
Third rounder. Yeah, so I've seen other mocks making similar moves. No idea if Kansas City's interested in that, but we'll see how it goes here. I'm going to kick this off, and we'll see how it goes. And you can see the picks scrolling across the top there. It's set up to go pretty fast. There goes Ashton, and Tyler Warren is off the board. Matthew Golden, and the Rams are on the board. I got a trade from the Packers offering a 3rd and a 5th and next year's 2nd, and we will reject that. We have 4 trade offers, and we have a bunch of 2026 picks from the Bucks. Not interested in that. And here where the Texans are offering next year's 2nd rounder and their 3rd rounder this year. And this is the only one that I might consider dropping down into the 2nd round, though. 19 picks to number 45 overall. You want to pass on that, Scott?
Yeah, it's too far.
Okay. So at 26, we will look at the quarterbacks, and Jackson Dart is there, and we will look at the running backs. And I would expect most of the guys we've talked about are still there. The only one off the board is Ashton. And so I think we can pass on running back at this point. Would you agree?
I would agree. I'd feel pretty confident in drafting Jackson Dart at 26.
Okay, for this experiment, and it's just an experiment, folks. What can we get in the draft if we spend a 1st rounder on a quarterback who's not going to contribute this year? At least I hope not. Let's hope he's not going to contribute this year. But I'd be really excited about adding him because it just puts to rest our concern for a couple of years. Hey, could he wash out and be a bust? Yeah, but I'd feel pretty good about having him on our roster. Something to look forward to when Matthew Stafford finally does hang it up. So we'll go ahead and draft Jackson Dart, and we're passing on the opportunity to add difference makers this year. I get it, but we have Jackson Dart on board.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does without me lifting a finger, so I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online. Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate Pina Colada and Thai-iced coffee flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
So let's look at these running backs, and we'll follow along who gets drafted here. Marion Hampton's gone, Trevion Henderson's gone, Quinshawn Judkins, Caleb Johnson, and then dropping down, Dylan Sampson, one of the guys you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and skip these because I want to see what running backs are available here, okay?
Sure.
You all right with that? So we'll reject all these trades, and let's just show, let's look at who was drafted already. Ollie Gordon, Damian Martinez, and a bunch of guys that you like are still there. So we have Tootin and Harvey. Harvey at 137, and we have picks 90, 101, and 127. So
yes.
I would lean towards passing on the running back here, but this is your show. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
Do you
there's
want
so
to grab
many
your guy
still
now?
available that there's so many still available. I would be pretty confident in just going best player available at a different position. Yes.
Yeah. Now I feel like if I'm reading your mind, you'd really like Harvey, but you would be happy with Etienne and Brashard Smith as well.
And Jarquez Hunter too. So yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the list of the best available. Now, I'd be interested in cornerbacks. Anyone here that you're interested in? Or just tell me what you want me to click on here. What are you looking at number 90 overall?
Thanks for showing that first. Can we go to defensive line?
Got Shamar Turner, Joshua Farmer, Omar Norman Lott, Ty Robinson, CJ West.
I'm going to go with somebody here that probably be unpopular with a lot of Rams fans because they might not know much about him, but Omar Norman Lott. I think the Rams are one player away from having the best pass rush almost in the NFL. If they could get a rotational guy that has a high win rate, Omar Norman Lott, he's a rotational player that his total number of pass play snaps is pretty low because he's rotated a lot, but he has almost a 20% win rate. It's unbelievable. It's the highest rate of all the defensive linemen, I think, available in the draft. If they could put him in there in a rotation with Fisk and Turner and the rest of the interior guys, I think their pass rush would be elite. And that's who I'd be leaning for drafting right there at number 90.
So he's not a nose tackle. He's more of a 3 technique type guy.
Yeah, he's smaller. He's just a hair under 300 pounds. So you're going to put him in as, you'll probably put him in there as either in the nose or at one of the defensive end spots on a long down and distance play. He's going to be able to rush from any one of those 3 positions.
All right. Omar Norman Lott is the selection. We'll let this run here. I think we want to reject these drafts because we haven't picked our running back yet. And that's one of the purposes here, is to see where we can get our running back. And really, I think everybody's still there that was there before. I don't know if any running backs were just selected. The only ones we've talked about that are gone are Dylan Sampson and anyone else here. I think he's the only guy we've talked about that is off the board. Yeah. So you want to pass on the running back here again? Our next pick, 26 picks after this.
Can you look at wide receiver?
We got Xavier Restrepo, Savion Williams, Tez Johnson,
Kyle Williams,
Torrey Horton, Ty Felton. I saw a bid on Savion Williams the other day, and I forget who it was, a YouTube channel analyst, and he was talking about Savion and saying he's just such a beast, but a lot of teams can't figure out how to use guys like that. Just food for thought there.
Yeah. My opinion on him is I'm not really high on him. I see him more as an athlete than a football player at this point. Somebody said, a couple of analysts have said, I started to watch tape of Savion Williams and then I ended up watching Jack Besh mostly.
Yeah.
So, with that said, there's a player I really like there at 118, Kyle Williams. I think is a very underrated wide receiver out of Washington State. I'm not saying I want to necessarily draft him there, but he would be somebody I would consider. Cornerback is probably a little bit more important to me at this point. So let's see who's on the board for.
Jacob Parrish, Denzel Burke out of Ohio State, Kobe Bryant, Zy Alexander.
Yes, I'm looking for a corner with size and length, and Zy Alexander is probably the first one that really meets that. Who's the one right above him? Is that Denzel Burke?
Denzel
Burke.
Right.
Yeah, and Zy is at 127. Is that right?
We're at pick 101. He is the 125th ranked player.
125. So, how about, could we please look at tight end?
At tight end, we have Gunnar Helm, Terrence Ferguson, Jake Brenningstool. A lot of the top guys are gone, including, obviously Warren and Loveland, as well as Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, Harold Fanning Jr.
Yeah, could you slide down just a little bit? I want to see if my guy from A&M is there, which is Conyers.
I'm looking. Oh, yeah, there he is. Jalen Conyers. He's the one.
I really like him, yeah. So let's save him maybe for later. And maybe we can go cornerback and go with our kid from LSU.
Okay, we're going to select Zy Alexander.
Yes.
Okay, that is the selection at number 101. And we're going to go back to running back. And see who comes off the board here. Tootin's still there. We're not our pick yet, though. Okay, so looks like most of our guys are still there. Now, we don't have another pick until 190, though. So if you really love RJ Harvey, you might want to grab him now.
Yeah, I'd have to say RJ Harvey. He's my top explosive running back to add to the Rams.
Okay, for those of you on the podcast, what we're looking at here, the top running backs available right now, number 118 overall by Shul Tootin, guy we talked about. 137 overall, RJ Harvey. 151, Trevor Etienne. 164 overall, Jaden Blue. 173, Brashard Smith. 177, Jarquez Hunter. All guys we've talked about. And the one Scott really likes is RJ Harvey. So we will make that selection, right?
Yes, it'd be great.
That's the guy you want. So we have our running back. So what do we have here so far? We have our quarterback of the future, defensive line. With the Rams now have the best pass rush in the National Football League. They add a big cornerback. The draft simulator did not like that pick, but what do they know? We got Zy Alexander, the big cornerback at LSU, and our change of pace running back RJ Harvey Jr. Now, refresh my memory. The Rams don't retain Kyron Williams for 2026, and we come back with RJ Harvey and Blake Corum. Mm-hmm. You good with that? From what you know now about these guys,
I don't know.
Corum's going
if we get some really good production out of Harvey as a third down back, I would be willing to go draft another back next year to.
And they probably will. Yeah. So we have our guys in house now that we really wanted. The quarterback we were talking about and the running back. We only have one trade offer here though, and it doesn't excite me. A 7th round pick plus 2 2026 picks. So I'll go ahead and reject this.
Sure.
And we are on pick number 190 overall, and the Rams have added a quarterback, a running back on the offensive side, a defensive lineman, and a cornerback on the defensive side. Now, if it were me, what I would be thinking about here is I'd still consider a 3-down linebacker. I'd consider a backup offensive tackle, a wide receiver, a tight end. Did I leave any position out?
I think you covered the top 3. Could we look at wide receiver?
The wide receivers available, Dante Thornton,
very
Nick
good.
Nash, Pat Bryant, Caden Prather, or is it Prather? Ricky White.
Nobody that really excites me that I can't get later. So how about tight end?
Benjamin Urasic out of Georgia, the Iowa tight end Luke Lachey. Pardon?
We lost our Conyers from Texas A&M. From Texas Tech.
Yes. Yeah.
Go down the list just a little bit further on the tight ends.
Molokai Matavo, and that's a guy I was told the Rams met with a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like him. He'd be a good tight end too. He's a very good, has good receiving skills in short distances. He's really doesn't have long speed, and he's a good blocker. So he'd probably be a good 2. I'm looking for somebody that has really good receiving skills that can separate. So there might be 1 or 2 further down the list that I liked. That for some reason they're undervalued. I think it's the guy from South Carolina, just up a line or 2 there.
Joshua Simon?
Yes.
Yeah. Now you don't want to draft him here though, right?
No. What's his rank? 200 something?
335.
335. Wow.
Yeah.
He's gonna wow some people when he gets into a camp, I think. So let's go back to we can put him in our back pocket for now. How about what's our other position? Inside linebacker. Thank you.
We got Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame, Nick Martin out of Oklahoma State, Jamon Dumas Johnson out of Kentucky, Kane Medrano out of UCLA. Hey, while we're talking linebackers, how do you feel about Carson Schlesinger out of UCLA? You have any thoughts on him?
Yeah, very high on him. He's a little bit more athletic than what his time 40 will say. He's got the athletic skills to go with great anticipation. Above the shoulders. A very good processor. He can anticipate things well.
Just those instincts. Yeah, the instincts you want in a linebacker.
He beats a lot of offensive linemen to the point where they want to block him, so he gets around a lot of blocks. So you might want to say he's a little bit more on the finesse side than physical side. Not say he can't defeat blocks. He just hasn't had to do it very often because he's very good at anticipating and getting around them. And he's very good in pass defense, coverage. So if he was available, I would definitely jump on him if he was available in the third round. So,
okay. What are you going to do with this pick? The 190 overall.
Can we scroll down a little bit to see if the guy I like from Buffalo is there? Dolak?
Yeah, he is. Sean Dolak is there.
Yeah, I think I like him better than the guys above him, so we can probably wait a couple of picks.
Yeah, we have picks 195, 201, and 202. So we got some picks coming up kind of stacked together. 4 picks within. Where are the tackles? There they are. We got Logan Brown out of Kansas. Pretty good value there. Don't know much about him, though. Jack Nelson out of Wisconsin. Rams draft a lot of Badger offensive linemen. The last one didn't turn out so well, though.
And then John Williams from Cincinnati.
John
Williams is a really big guy. He's got a lot of potential, but Logan Brown is very good. And I really like Nelson out of Wisconsin. What's Nelson's rating?
187 overall.
And so we're at 190.
It's about where he would be expected to be selected.
Yeah. I think he could possibly be a Havenstein replacement over a season or two. So I would like to select Nelson.
Okay. So we get some offensive line tackle depth, I should say. And we're at 195 now. And
we still have 3 picks left, right?
Right. We have 195, 201, and 202.
Okay.
And we have not selected a wide receiver or a linebacker or a tight end.
How about wide receiver?
So Dante Thornton is still there. Great value, the 150th ranked player according to this board, as well as
can you scroll down just a little.
Nick Nash, Pat Bryant, Caden Prather, Ricky White, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Shamari Dyke, LeJante Wester, Antoine Wells Jr., Isaac. I forget how to pronounce
there's
his
a player
name.
in there. There's a player that I like, and I think it's very undervalued. That would be Shamari DK from Miami.
Oh, I said Dyke. It's DK. Shamari DK.
Yeah. Shamari DK. He's just a little 1 or 2 spots down from where you're at now.
Yeah, I see him here. He's the 220th ranked player, so it's not too much of a reach. We're at 195.
Yeah, we're not going to good grade, but I don't think they have him valued very well. So that would be my
selection.
Yeah,
and there
he's
it is.
Very strong. In case Ram fans don't know, he has very good speed. He has 4.4 speed. He's strong. He has a physical body. He could do. He does a lot of the dirty work in the Florida offense. You could picture kind of what Cooper Kupp's done the past few years. He could do the same thing for the Rams. You can put him in the slot. You can put him out wide. He has the speed to take receivers deep. to get in back of the defense, but he can also run your crossing routes. He can do a lot of the blocking in the run game. I like him a lot. Yeah.
Okay, moving on here. We are on our last 2 picks, and we checked the wide receiver box. We got our backup offensive tackle. We added the running back you love, a bigger cornerback, defensive lineman that is going to further improve this Rams defensive line and pass rush. And we have our quarterback of the future, Jackson Dart. So I'm thinking, at this point, 201 and 202, deep into the 6th round, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You want a guy that's going to make the team, first of all, but you also have a couple of position groups. Still a little concerned about linebacker, tight end, perhaps. But let's go back to the all and see who the best guys available are. Defensive line, quarterback Kyle McCord is still there. Interior offensive line. We haven't drafted a safety. Malachi Moore is there. And Jaden Blue, your running back, is there. So we kind of lost sight of that. I meant to check on the running backs each round. Jaden Blue is still there deep into the 6th round. And hey, let's do that right now just for educational purposes. Jaden Blue, Brashard Smith are both there. And it looks like, did our guy from Auburn get selected? Jordan James is gone. Where the heck is he? Did I miss him? Hunter. There he is. Oh, Jarquez Hunter is still there. So for educational purposes, if the Rams waited till deep into the 6th round, they might have their choice of Jaden Blue, Brashard Smith, and Jarquez Hunter. And you got to weigh that against, who you can get where we selected our running back there at, was it 101 overall? 127 overall. So how do you feel about that? RJ Harvey with the 127th pick overall, we could have grabbed a tight end, a wide receiver, some other position, and then grabbed a Brashard Smith in the 6th. If you had a do-over, would you still take Harvey?
Yeah, it's possible.
We weren't really that happy. Yeah, we weren't really happy with what we saw on the board there when we selected Harvey, though, right?
Yeah, I think where we selected Harvey, I think the tight ends I liked were already all gone. So
yeah,
it would be hard because the running back class is deep. So yes, some of the running backs are going to get pushed out to the later rounds. The tight end class is somewhat deep. You're getting some, but I'm not looking for depth. I'm looking for somebody who can challenge. Who's our starter?
Which position are you talking about here?
Our starting tight end.
Tyler Higbee for the time being.
Yeah, I'm looking for somebody that can
Parkinson.
challenge. In the passing game, can separate and can really get back to the skill set he had when he was a rookie. I think his skills have diminished slightly, even though he's still probably the best on the roster right now. If I'm looking for a trade down and hopefully. In reality, getting an extra third and maybe trading back up into the 2nd round and getting somebody like Elijah Arroyo is my favorite at this point of the draft season.
And that's the dilemma. You get really excited about selecting Jackson Dart, but it really has a domino effect through the rest of your draft, big time. And if you pass on that and you trade back, either you select a position where you can't really get some immediate help, like tight end. And I know Ram fans are poo-pooing me on the channel for selecting a tight end in the 1st round, but I stand by that. It's a very, very possible the Rams will do exactly that. So you draft the tight end in the 1st round, and you have added flexibility, you take other positions later, obviously, or you trade back and you add an extra pick or two. And maybe you still get a quarterback you like. But Yeah, drafting a quarterback in the first round is seriously impacts the rest of the draft and your 2025 season. Really, it really could. So there's a trade-off there. Okay, well, we got off track here. We're still on pick 201, and we have not selected the tight end, and we have not selected a linebacker. The tight ends are, I'm not necessarily pointing you in a direction, just sharing with you Aronde Gadsden. Matavo, the tight end from UCLA, is still there. I don't know if he's a difference maker in the passing game, though. And then if we go over, Joshua Simon is still there, the South Carolina tight end. You talked about him already.
Yeah, I really like, I think for the last two picks, I'd probably like to get the backer from Buffalo, Dolak, and then finish it up with the tight end from South Carolina.
Okay, there's Dolak, the linebacker, and the tight end from South Carolina. And dismiss those grades. You're drafting guys you like. You're overdrafting them. You want them in your camp. You don't want them receiving phone calls as undrafted rookies that can go wherever they want. You are telling them to get their butts to LA and make this roster. So to rehash, we took the quarterback at number 26, and part of that was to just see how the rest of the draft, how it affected the rest of the draft. We're getting one last player that could really help this team in 2025, a high draft pick that could help this roster. And then we took the defensive lineman, Omar Norman Lott, out of Tennessee. Scott thinks he could push this LA Rams pass rush into the elite category, if not the best in the league. Cornerback Zy Alexander at 101 overall, a bigger cornerback. And then we started this episode off talking about change of pace running backs, and we got one of them, Scott's favorite, R.J. Harvey Jr. out of the University of Central Florida. We picked another offensive lineman from Wisconsin, Jack Nelson, to go along with Logan Bruss, David Edwards, Rob Havenstein, the offensive linemen from the Badgers keep marching in, and Shamiri DK?
Yes, DK.
DK out of Florida. My apologies to the DK family for butchering that first name. That's you gotta cut me some slack on that one. I think most folks would pronounce it as I did, but I won't make that mistake again. And then the linebacker Sean Dolak out of Buffalo, and the tight end out of South Carolina, Joshua Simon. And those last three picks are all fairly new to me, so I'll do some reading on those guys that Scott certainly likes. So you happy with your draft? You better be. You're the one that made the picks.
Oh yeah, I'd be happy if the Rams could bring all those players into camp. That would be awesome.
Okay. Good stuff, Scott. And we'll do another one of these. The draft is getting closer. Maybe next time we'll get back to the trading back scenarios, which I think might be the most likely scenario. And if we trade back, I think it's really curious to see where Jackson Dart really goes in this draft. Is he going to go in the first round? I think he is, because so many quarterback needy teams, right? Someone's going to take a stab at him.
One of the options to look at is you got to think that possibly teams like the Giants or the Browns, that if they're a little gun shy from trying to grab quarterbacks so high in the draft, maybe they're going to go with the best player available, and then maybe trade back up into the back end of the first round so that they can draft a quarterback there. Gives them the fifth-year option on that quarterback.
Right.
Gives them a little bit more control. That could really give the Rams an option to trade back and get more of those picks. And
yeah, that's true.
Maybe in the third round, and then you got extra third rounds to trade back up into the second round to get a difference-making tight end, or if there's still another quarterback you like to replace Stafford.
Yeah,
so I really like that.
That's a good thought. That's a good thought, and I hadn't really thought about that. Is that because the quarterbacks, there's 2 or 3 guys that are going to go early, and then there's a lot of quarterbacks that maybe typically wouldn't be worthy of an early pick, but these quarterback needy teams, I'm kind of regurgitating what you just said, make sure I'm ingesting it correctly. That could make that number 26 pick extra valuable, because these teams that were hesitant to draft a quarterback early are now sitting there in the second round going, you know what, let's give up some picks and get back up there to 26, for example, and get our quarterback. Yeah, that could be to the Rams' benefit. Okay, good stuff, Scott. Thanks for joining us or joining me today. Just another mock draft in the books, another approach, checking the box on another approach, and we'll do something a little bit different next time. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for having me, Mark.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.